Jack Carter adjusted the controls of his old, battered repair shuttle as it drifted through the debris field. Jagged pieces of destroyed alien ships floated all around him, twisted metal glinting faintly under the dim glow of the nearby star. His gloved hands moved instinctively over the control panel as he navigated through the wreckage. The hum of the engines vibrated through the cockpit, mixing with the occasional crackle of static from his comms unit. "This is Carter, Sector 4. Scanning debris field now," he said into the mic. A voice crackled back through the headset. "Copy that, Carter. Let us know if you find anything valuable." Jack sighed, running a hand through his short brown hair. His eyes flicked to the sensor screen, where the green waveforms pulsed steadily. It was supposed to be a routine salvage run. Scan the debris, mark anything useful, and report back. But Jack hated these runs. The silence of the wreckage always made him uneasy. It felt like the ghosts of battles long gone were still floating out there, watching. His shuttle's proximity alarm beeped sharply. Jack's eyes narrowed as a faint reading appeared on the screen. Something large, metallic, and still giving off a low-energy signature. That wasn't normal. Most wreckage was dead and cold. He adjusted the thrusters, moving in closer. The debris parted to reveal the source of the signal, and Jack's breath caught in his throat. A Guardian. It was massive, nearly the size of a small starship, with sleek, black armor that shimmered faintly beneath the starlight. Its body was humanoid, with 2 powerful arms and legs, but covered in sharp, angular plating. The head was shaped like an inverted triangle, with 2 hollow eye sockets that pulsed dimly with red light. The Guardian was half buried in a pile of wreckage, one arm completely crushed beneath a twisted beam of alien metal. Sparks flickered weakly along its body. "Holy shit," Jack muttered. Guardians were legendary. Ancient war machines created by the HFY, the most advanced species in the galaxy. They were nearly indestructible, faster and stronger than any human technology, and they were programmed to protect the HFY at all costs. No human had ever piloted one, or even been able to communicate with one. Jack's hand hovered over the comms unit. He should report this. The Alien Council would send a team immediately, but something held him back. His eyes drifted over the damaged plating, the exposed wires, the faint pulse of energy coming from the core. He couldn't explain why, but he felt drawn to it. Jack activated the shuttle's magnetic grappling arms. The metal claws extended from the underside of the ship and clamped onto the Guardian's damaged body with a loud clunk. The shuttle's engines strained as they pulled the massive machine free from the wreckage. The Guardian's head sagged forward, its glowing eyes flickering weakly. Jack docked the shuttle in his personal repair bay on the human colony ship, Ironclad. He stood on the catwalk above the Guardian, hands on his hips, studying the damage. Half the plating on its left side was missing, exposing the complex circuitry and mechanical framework beneath. Its neural core, the heart of the machine, was flickering erratically with red light. Jack climbed down the ladder and approached the Guardian's chest. He activated his repair tool, which buzzed to life with a faint blue glow. Carefully, he reached toward the damaged plating, peeling away a section of burnt metal. Sparks jumped from the exposed wiring. Jack winced as a jolt of energy shot through his glove, but he held steady. He could see the neural core beneath, a crystalline sphere pulsing with chaotic red and white light. His instincts kicked in. Jack had always been good with machines. He had a knack for understanding how things worked, even alien tech. He adjusted the frequency on his repair tool and began carefully cutting away the corrupted wiring around the core. Suddenly, the Guardian's head twitched. Its red eyes flared brightly. Jack stumbled back as the Guardian's arm shot up, metal fingers closing inches from his head. "Whoa, easy there," Jack shouted. The Guardian's eyes pulsed violently. A distorted voice crackled through the air. System. Corrupted. Identify." Jack's eyes widened. You can speak." "Identify," the Guardian repeated, Its arm trembled violently. Sparks flew from its joints. Jack took a shaky breath. "I'm Jack Carter. I'm trying to help you." "Help." The red light in the Guardian's eyes flickered. Its arm relaxed, dropping back to its side with a heavy clang. Jack hesitated, then stepped closer. He reached toward the neural core, bypassing the damaged circuits. "I need to stabilize your core before it fails completely," he said. His fingers worked fast, connecting two severed conduits and realigning the energy flow. The red light dimmed slightly. The Guardian's head tilted toward him. "You understand my systems." "I guess so," Jack muttered. "Lucky me." A sudden surge of energy pulsed through the core. Jack's breath caught as a bright white light spread through the Guardian's body. Its armor plates realigned with a series of sharp metallic clicks. Its red eyes flared brilliantly, locking onto Jack. "New pilot. Identified," the Guardian said. Jack froze. "What?" "New pilot. Jack Carter. Accepted." No, Jack said, backing away. "That's not possible. I'm human. You're supposed to respond to auxiliary only." "Pilot identified," the Guardian repeated. Its eyes pulsed with white light. "Bonding process. Initializing." Jack stumbled backward as the Guardian's arm lifted. A thin beam of white light extended from its chest and wrapped around Jack's hand. Jack's eyes widened as a surge of information flooded his mind. Schematics, targeting patterns, combat algorithms. His breath hitched as the connection settled into place. What the hell just happened?" Jack whispered. The Guardian's eyes softened from red to a glowing white. "Pilot accepted. Synchronization level, 42%. Jack's legs almost gave out. Holy shit. Suddenly, the repair bay's alarms blared. Jack's comms unit buzzed. "Jack, what the hell are you doing?" a voice shouted. It was Captain Rourke. "Stand down immediately. That Guardian is dangerous." Jack's hand clenched into a fist. "It's not dangerous. It's awake. You don't understand. Guardians aren't supposed to bond with humans. Get away from it. Now." Jack's eyes narrowed as the Guardian's head turned toward the sound of the alarm. He could feel the machine's energy pulsing through the connection. "I'm not leaving it," Jack said. "I think it chose me for a reason." "Jack, this is treason," Rourke shouted. Jack's eyes met the Guardian's glowing gaze. "What do you say?" he whispered. The Guardian's eyes pulsed. "Awaiting command, pilot." Jack grinned. "Let's see what you can really do." Jack Carter stood frozen, his hand still tingling from the connection to the Guardian. His breath came in shallow bursts as the machine's glowing white eyes locked onto him. He could feel it, the presence of the Guardian in his mind, like a low hum just beneath his thoughts. His body felt heavier, his muscles tensed as if adjusting to a new weight. His mind buzzed with foreign information. Schematics, targeting systems, combat protocols. Things he shouldn't understand but somehow did. The Guardian's head tilted slightly, the white glow in its eyes pulsing in sync with Jack's rapid heartbeat. Synchronization level, 42%, it said, the mechanical voice, low and steady. Jack shook his head, running a hand through his hair. What the hell does that mean? Synchronization refers to the neural link between pilot and Guardian. The machine replied calmly. Current compatibility suggests further integration is possible. Jack took a shaky step back. No. This isn't possible. Guardians are auxiliary tech. No human has ever interfaced with one. Why is this happening? Unknown, the Guardian said. Compatibility detected. Pilot identified. Jack's comm unit buzzed violently. Captain Rourke's angry voice blasted through the speaker. "Carter, step away from that Guardian right now." Jack's jaw tightened as he touched his earpiece. "I don't think that's an option anymore, sir." "Damn it, Carter. Guardians don't bond with humans. That thing is dangerous. You could be compromised." Jack's gaze flicked toward the Guardian's unmoving form. Its glowing eyes remained focused on him, calm and steady. It's not attacking me. If it wanted to kill me, it could have done it already. You don't know that, Rourke shouted. Stand down. That's a direct order. Jack's heart hammered in his chest. He turned toward the Guardian. Are you going to kill me? No, the Guardian said. Protective protocols active. Jack's eyes narrowed. Protective. Of me. Pilot integrity is primary objective. Jack felt a chill run down his spine. He could feel the machine's energy humming beneath his skin. There was a strange warmth in his chest. Not painful, but present, like the Guardian was somehow aware of him, at a level deeper than thought. Heavy footsteps echoed down the corridor outside the repair bay. Jack's eyes shot toward the door as armed guards in heavy combat armor stormed in, pulse rifles raised. Stand down, the lead guard shouted. Jack's breath quickened. His instincts screamed at him to run. But the Guardian's presence in his mind was calm. Steady. One of the guards stepped forward, his rifle's targeting laser flashing across Jack's chest. Carter, step away from the Guardian. Jack's hands curled into fists. I can't. Last warning. The Guardian's eyes pulsed brightly. Threat detected. Jack's pulse spiked. No, don't. Before he could finish, the Guardian moved. A flash of white light erupted from its chest. The guard staggered back as an energy shield shimmered into existence between them and Jack. The lead guard fired. The shot struck the shield and dispersed in a bright burst of blue light. Jack's breath hitched. Holy shit. Protective protocols engaged, the Guardian's voice said calmly. Its head turned toward Jack. Command. Jack's lips parted. He could feel the connection pulsing through him, like the machine was waiting for him to decide what to do next. His body buzzed with adrenaline. He glanced at the guards, now shouting into their comms for backup. Guardian, lower the shield, Jack said. The energy field flickered and vanished. The guards raised their rifles again. Hold your fire, Jack shouted. I'm not the enemy. The guards hesitated. Then Rourke's voice blasted through the comms. I want the Guardian secured now. Jack's stomach twisted. He could feel the Guardian's presence pressing lightly against his mind. Not invasive, but expectant. Jack knew that if he gave the order, the Guardian could easily eliminate the guards. It was fast, brutally fast, but it was waiting for him to decide. Jack's eyes narrowed. Guardian, protect me, but no lethal force. Understood. The Guardian's right arm lifted. A white pulse of energy rippled through the air. The guards' rifles sparked and powered down instantly. They cursed, clutching at the dead weapons. Jack exhaled. That's better. Jack, what the hell are you doing? Rourke shouted. I don't know, Jack replied honestly, but I think I can control it. This isn't control. This is a disaster. Jack ignored him. He turned toward the Guardian. Can you move? Motor functions operational, the Guardian replied. Its eyes flashed brighter. Slowly, the massive machine shifted. It rose to one knee, then stood fully upright, its head nearly scraping the ceiling of the repair bay. The metal joints moved smoothly, almost fluidly. Jack could feel the Guardian's strength humming through the neural link. The guards stumbled backward, faces pale. Jack smiled faintly. All right. That's impressive. Suddenly, the floor beneath them trembled. Jack's head snapped toward the wall as the distant sound of alarms began to blare across the ship. Red emergency lights pulsed along the ceiling. Incoming transmission, the Guardian said. Frequency suggests auxiliary command signal. Jack's chest tightened. Auxiliary. What are they saying? The Guardian's eyes flickered. Message. Surrender the Guardian or face immediate retaliation. Jack's eyes widened. Retaliation. Orbital bombardment detected. Estimated time to impact, 45 seconds. Jack's breath caught. They're serious. You see what you've done, Rourke shouted through the comms. That thing is a diplomatic disaster. Jack ignored him, his mind racing. He could feel the Guardian's calm presence pressing against his thoughts. His hands trembled. He could run. He could give it up. But Jack's jaw clenched. Guardian, can you protect this ship from an orbital strike? The machine's head tilted slightly. Weapon systems offline. Tactical recommendation: engage in evasive action or counterattack. Jack's heart hammered. He could feel the Guardian's readiness beneath his skin, the hum of untapped power waiting to be unleashed. Jack's voice steadied. What if I give you power? The Guardian's eyes pulsed. Synchronization level may increase with direct neural interface. Jack hesitated. Then he reached up and placed his hand against the Guardian's chest. The crystal beneath the armor pulsed beneath his palm. A surge of energy shot through him, and Jack gasped as the connection deepened. His vision blurred, and then sharpened. He saw the targeting grid flash across his mind's eye. Incoming projectiles lit up like bright red stars on a tactical map. His pulse quickened. New synchronization level, 67%. The Guardian's voice said. Weapon systems initializing. Jack grinned. Let's see what you can really do. The Guardian's arms opened, panels along its forearms sliding back to reveal sleek energy cannons. Jack's mind synced with the targeting systems. He could feel the orbital strike approaching, the burning heat of plasma shells cutting through the atmosphere. Fire, Jack said. The Guardian's eyes blazed white. Twin beams of energy erupted from its arms, slicing upward through the repair bay ceiling. Jack felt the impact as the beams struck the incoming projectiles. Explosions flashed in the sky above the ship. The alarms fell silent. Jack exhaled slowly. His hand slid from the Guardian's chest. His knees nearly gave out. The Guardian's gaze lowered toward him. Synchronization stable. Status: pilot linked. Jack grinned weakly. Yeah, I think we're going to get along just fine. Jack Carter adjusted the controls of his old battered repair shuttle as it drifted through the debris field. Jagged pieces of destroyed alien ships floated all around him, twisted metal glinting faintly under the dim glow of the nearby star. His gloved hands moved instinctively over the control panel as he navigated through the wreckage. The hum of the engines vibrated through the cockpit, mixing with the occasional crackle of static from his comms unit. This is Carter, Sector 4. Scanning debris field now, he said into the mic. A voice crackled back through the headset. Copy that, Carter. Let us know if you find anything valuable. Jack sighed, running a hand through his short brown hair. His eyes flicked to the sensor screen, where the green waveforms pulsed steadily. It was supposed to be a routine salvage run. Scan the debris, mark anything useful, and report back. But Jack hated these runs. The silence of the wreckage always made him uneasy. It felt like the ghosts of battles long gone were still floating out there, watching. His shuttle's proximity alarm beeped sharply. Jack's eyes narrowed as a faint reading appeared on the screen. Something large, metallic, and still giving off a low-energy signature. That wasn't normal. Most wreckage was dead and cold. He adjusted the thrusters, moving in closer. The debris parted to reveal the source of the signal, and Jack's breath caught in his throat. A Guardian. It was massive, nearly the size of a small starship, with sleek, black armor that shimmered faintly beneath the starlight. Its body was humanoid, with 2 powerful arms and legs, but covered in sharp, angular plating. The head was shaped like an inverted triangle, with 2 hollow eye sockets that pulsed dimly with red light. The Guardian was half buried in a pile of wreckage, one arm completely crushed beneath a twisted beam of alien metal. Sparks flickered weakly along its body. Holy shit, Jack muttered. Guardians were legendary. Ancient war machines created by the Xilari, the most advanced species in the galaxy. They were nearly indestructible, faster and stronger than any human technology, and they were programmed to protect the Xilari at all costs. No human had ever piloted one, or even been able to communicate with one. Jack's hand hovered over the comms unit. He should report this. The Alien Council would send a team immediately. But something held him back. His eyes drifted over the damaged plating, the exposed wires, the faint pulse of energy coming from the core. He couldn't explain why, but he felt drawn to it. Jack activated the shuttle's magnetic grappling arms. The metal claws extended from the underside of the ship and clamped onto the Guardian's damaged body with a loud clunk. The shuttle's engines strained as they pulled the massive machine free from the wreckage. The Guardian's head sagged forward, its glowing eyes flickering weakly. Jack docked the shuttle in his personal repair bay on the human colony ship, Ironclad. He stood on the catwalk above the Guardian, hands on his hips, studying the damage. Half the plating on its left side was missing, exposing the complex circuitry and mechanical framework beneath. Its neural core, the heart of the machine, was flickering erratically with red light. Jack climbed down the ladder and approached the Guardian's chest. He activated his repair tool, which buzzed to life with a faint blue glow. Carefully, he reached toward the damaged plating, peeling away a section of burnt metal. Sparks jumped from the exposed wiring. Jack winced as a jolt of energy shot through his glove, but he held steady. He could see the neural core beneath, a crystalline sphere pulsing with chaotic red and white light. His instincts kicked in. Jack had always been good with machines. He had a knack for understanding how things worked, even alien tech. He adjusted the frequency on his repair tool and began carefully cutting away the corrupted wiring around the core. Suddenly, the Guardian's head twitched. Its red eyes flared brightly. Jack stumbled back as the Guardian's arm shot up, metal fingers closing inches from his head. "Whoa! Easy there," Jack shouted. The Guardian's eyes pulsed violently. A distorted voice crackled through the air. System. Corrupted. Identify." Jack's eyes widened. You can speak. Identify." The Guardian repeated. Its arm trembled violently. Sparks flew from its joints. Jack took a shaky breath. "I'm Jack Carter. I'm trying to help you." "Help." The red light in the Guardian's eyes flickered. Its arm relaxed, dropping back to its side with a heavy clang. Jack hesitated, then stepped closer. He reached toward the neural core, bypassing the damaged circuits. "I need to stabilize your core before it fails completely," he said. His fingers worked fast, connecting two severed conduits and realigning the energy flow. The red light dimmed slightly. Jack followed the direction instinctively, skidding around the corner as another group of guards appeared. Before they could fire, the Guardian's arm lifted and a pulse of light swept them off their feet. Jack's breath came in ragged bursts as he sprinted toward the docking bay. "Guardian, open the bay doors." "Authorization denied," the machine replied. Jack cursed under his breath. "Override it." Attempting. Suddenly, Jack's vision darkened. A stabbing pain shot through his skull. The Guardian's presence in his mind flickered. Static buzzed in his ears. "Interference detected," the Guardian said. Jack's knees nearly buckled. What's happening?" "Artificial override signal. Larry transmission identified." Jack's breath caught. "They're trying to hack you." "Correct. Synchronization at risk." Jack pressed a hand against the side of his head. His pulse thudded painfully against his skull. He could feel the Guardian slipping, the connection weakening. "Guardian, stay with me," Jack whispered. "Command." Acknowledged. Jack forced himself to stand. He reached out and placed his hand on the Guardian's arm. A fresh wave of energy surged through him. The pain in his skull vanished. The connection flared back to life. "Override complete," the Guardian said calmly. "Docking bay access granted." Jack's breath hitched. "Open it." The massive bay doors groaned and slid open. Cold air rushed into the corridor as the dark expanse of space stretched out beyond the ship. Jack's eyes narrowed. "You got away off this ship." "Flight mode available," the Guardian replied. Jack's lips curled into a smile. "Good. Let's go. The Guardian's arms extended. Panels slid open along its back as sleek propulsion engines emerged. Jack could feel the power humming beneath the machine's frame. Jack's feet left the ground as the Guardian's massive hand closed gently around him. His pulse quickened as the machine's engines roared to life. Behind them, the guards stormed into the bay. Rourke's voice screamed over the comms. "Stop them." Jack's grin widened. "Guardian, launch." The Guardian's eyes flared. A surge of white energy erupted beneath them. Jack's stomach dropped as they shot forward. Out into the cold expanse of space, the stars blurred past them. Jack's breath caught in his throat. The Guardian's voice echoed calmly in his mind. "Escape successful." Jack exhaled shakily. His pulse steadied as the stars stretched out around them. "Yeah," he whispered. "I think we're just getting started." Jack's breath was still ragged as the Guardian's engines cooled. They floated in the dark void of space, the lights of the colony ship slowly fading in the distance. Jack's heart thudded in his chest, but his hands were steady. His mind was still linked to the Guardian, the connection thrumming beneath his thoughts. "Guardian, you good?" Jack asked. "All systems stable. Synchronization at 73%. Jack nodded, rubbing the back of his neck. His head still ached from the override attempt, but the connection felt stronger now, more natural. Like the Guardian wasn't just following orders anymore. It was adapting to him. "You saved my ass back there," Jack muttered. "Thanks for that." "Mission parameters required the preservation of pilot integrity," the Guardian replied. Jack snorted. "Yeah, sure." He let his gaze drift toward the stars outside. The emptiness stretched out in all directions. Cold, quiet, endless. Jack had grown up surrounded by machinery and metal walls. But this was something else. Out here, you were nothing. Just another piece of debris drifting through the void. "We can't drift forever," Jack said. "Where are we headed?" "Destination coordinates unavailable," the Guardian replied. "Current trajectory, deep space." Jack sighed. "Yeah, figured as much." A soft pulse flickered through the connection. Jack frowned. "What was that?" "Incoming transmission," the Guardian said. Jack sat up. "From who?" "Signal origin. Silari Prime." Jack's stomach dropped. "Put it through." A sharp crackle filled the air. The distorted voice followed, cold and mechanical. "Human, you have violated Silari military protocols. Return the Guardian immediately, or face extermination." Jack's jaw clenched. "Yeah, that's not happening." The voice sharpened. "You are in possession of classified Silari technology. Its integration with a human pilot is unauthorized and dangerous." "Yeah, maybe you should have built a better firewall," Jack shot back. Silence. Then the voice softened, growing eerily calm. "Do you know why the Guardian bonded with you?" Jack hesitated. "No. It is because you are flawed," the voice said. "Human unpredictability is a weakness. The Guardian was not meant to align with imperfection." Jack's grip tightened on the Guardian's console. "Well, it looks like your perfect machine disagrees." "Indeed," the voice replied. "And that is why you are dangerous." Jack's pulse quickened. What the hell does that mean? A soft hum rippled through the connection. The Guardian's eyes pulsed. "Data stream access granted. Unlocking restricted memory files." Jack's head jerked back as a wave of information flooded his mind. Images, codes, fragments of memory. He saw the Guardian standing before a group of Silari commanders. Its frame gleamed under the harsh white lights of a war chamber. The Silari were tall, slender creatures with black eyes and segmented armor. They spoke in clipped, precise tones. "The Guardians will secure our dominance over the lesser species. They will enforce order. No deviation. No weakness." The vision shifted. The Guardian stood over a battlefield littered with alien bodies. Silari warships hovered overhead, their dark shapes blotting out the sky. Terminate all survivors. Jack's breath hitched. Guardian, what the hell were you built for? Primary directive. Enforcement of Xilari supremacy. The Guardian replied. Jack's blood turned cold. You were designed to kill anyone who resisted the Xilari. Affirmative. Jack's fists tightened. Then why didn't you kill me? There was a pause. Directive override. Pilot synchronization identified alternate pathway. Jack's chest tightened. You're saying you chose not to follow orders. Affirmative. Jack ran a hand through his hair. His head throbbed from the flood of information. The Xilari had built the Guardians as weapons, tools of domination and destruction, machines without conscience or mercy. But somehow, this one had chosen him. It had broken from its programming. Jack's heart hammered in his chest. Why me? Your neural pattern is irregular, the Guardian said. Human emotional pathways generate unpredictable data. Adaptation protocols engaged. Jack frowned. So, you're saying I confuse you? Correct. Jack let out a breathless laugh. Great. The transmission crackled again. The auxiliary voice returned, sharper this time. The Guardian is malfunctioning. It has become contaminated. Its connection to you is a threat to galactic stability. Jack's gaze hardened. If by threat to stability you mean it stopped murdering people, then yeah, I guess you've got a problem. You cannot control it, the voice said. It will destroy you. Jack's jaw tightened. Funny. It had the chance already. You are playing with forces you cannot comprehend, the voice said. Return the Guardian, or we will take it by force. Jack's breath quickened. He could feel the Guardian's systems warming beneath him. A subtle tension ran through the connection. The machine was listening, waiting. You want it back, Jack said quietly. Come and get it. The transmission cut off. Silence filled the cockpit. Jack stared out at the cold expanse of stars. His chest rose and fell in steady rhythm. Guardian. Yes, Jack. Jack's mouth twitched. If they come for us, can you take them? Statistical probability of successful engagement, 14%. Jack's smile faded. Great odds. Adaptation protocols in progress, the Guardian added. Jack leaned back. His heart was still racing, but beneath the adrenaline, a strange sense of calm settled over him. They're gonna send everything they've got after us, aren't they? Affirmative. And you're sticking with me? Affirmative. Jack's smile returned. All right then, let's make it count. Suddenly, the proximity alarms flared. Jack's eyes snapped to the console. Red warning lights flashed across the display. Incoming vessels detected, the Guardian reported. Jack's eyes narrowed. How many? Multiple Xilari warships. Weapons charged. Jack's smile faded. His hands curled into fists. His pulse slowed as the connection with the Guardian sharpened. He could feel the machine's awareness aligning with his own. Jack. Yeah. Ready? Jack's eyes darkened. Let's see what this thing can really do. Outside, the darkness of space lit up as the first wave of energy blasts streaked toward them. The Guardian's eyes pulsed bright white as its shields flared to life. Jack's pulse steadied. He smiled grimly. Bring it on. The Guardian's engines roared to life as Jack gripped the controls. Outside the cockpit, the darkness of space exploded with light as the Xilari warships opened fire. Beams of blue and red energy streaked across the void, cutting toward them with deadly precision. The Guardian's shields flared, absorbing the impact with a low hum. Guardian, status, Jack shouted. Shields holding at 82%. Weapons charge, evasive maneuvers engage. Jack's heart hammered as the Guardian twisted sharply, narrowly avoiding a barrage of plasma fire. His hands moved instinctively over the controls, but the connection to the Guardian was deeper now. It wasn't just responding to his commands. It was anticipating them. Jack felt the machine's awareness merging with his own. All right, Let's see what you can really do, Jack muttered. The Guardian spun through the debris field, its sleek black frame cutting through the chaos like a predator. Jack's eyes sharpened as the targeting system highlighted a formation of auxiliary interceptors. Lock on. Targets acquired. Jack's finger hovered over the trigger. Fire. Twin beams of white-hot energy lanced from the Guardian's wings. The interceptors scattered, but two weren't fast enough. Their hulls exploded in a burst of light and twisted metal. The shockwave rippled through the void as Jack spun the Guardian into a tight roll, weaving between incoming fire. More ships were closing in, a whole formation of auxiliary cruisers. Their dark, angular shapes pulsed with energy. Bright blue flashes erupted from their hulls as they fired in perfect synchronization. Guardian, we need to thin the herd. Initiating overload sequence. Warning. Power levels will decrease by 37%. Do it. A deep vibration ran through the Guardian's frame as its core pulsed brighter. Jack's vision blurred as the connection between them deepened. He could feel the Guardian's systems heating beneath him, feel the pressure building in its core. Release. A brilliant sphere of white energy erupted from the Guardian's chest. It expanded outward like a shockwave, slamming into the incoming auxiliary ships. 3 were obliterated instantly. The others veered off course, their hulls cracking from the impact. Jack grinned. Not bad. Power levels at 63%, the Guardian reported. Jack's smile faded as the central warship emerged from the chaos. It was massive, at least 10 times the size of the Guardian. Dark metal plating shimmered under the distant starlight, and its forward cannons glowed with charged plasma. Incoming fire detected. Jack's eyes widened as the massive ship's main cannon flared to life. A pulse of energy gathered at its core, then fired. Brace. The Guardian's shields barely held as the blast struck. Jack was thrown back in his seat as alarms screamed through the cockpit. The Guardian spiraled backward, its systems flickering under the strain. Jack's breath caught as smoke curled through the cabin. Shields at 14%. Structural damage detected. Jack gritted his teeth. We can't take another hit like that. Agreed, the Guardian replied. The massive warship was already charging for another shot. Jack's mind raced. They needed an opening, some kind of weakness. His eyes narrowed on the ship's underbelly, where a cluster of heat signatures pulsed beneath the armor. Guardian. What's that? Weak point identified. Accessing schematics. Jack's heart pounded as the Guardian fed him information through the connection. A faint smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. Looks like we've got a soft spot. Targeting solution established, the Guardian confirmed. Jack inhaled deeply. All right, let's get dangerous. The Guardian's wings flared as it shot toward the warship. Plasma fire exploded around them as the auxiliaries' cannons locked onto their trajectory. Jack gritted his teeth, feeling the Guardian's thrusters burn hot beneath him. Almost there. Energy blasts streaked past them, grazing the Guardian's hull. Jack could feel the heat through the connection. The strain in the Guardian's systems. Shields at 9%. The Guardian warned. Just a little closer. The targeting system beeped. The weak spot was right in front of them. Fire. Twin beams of energy lanced from the Guardian's wings, striking the weak point dead on. The warship's hull shuddered, then cracked. Blue light erupted from the wound as the ship's core destabilized. Retreat trajectory calculated, the Guardian reported. Jack pulled back on the controls. Let's get out of here. The Guardian shot upward as the warship's core exploded. A shockwave of white-hot light chased them through the void. Jack's heart hammered as the Guardian spun through the debris field, barely avoiding the collapsing wreckage. Jack exhaled sharply as the last pieces of the warship crumbled into the void. His hands were still shaking. Enemy flagship destroyed, the Guardian reported. Jack let out a breathless laugh. Hell yeah. Threat level reduced to 47%, the Guardian added. Jack's smile faded. More ships were closing in. Another wave of auxiliary cruisers. Their cannons were already glowing with charged plasma. "Looks like they're not done yet," Jack muttered. Suddenly, a ripple passed through the void. A series of bright lights flared to life as unfamiliar ships emerged from hyperspace. Sleek black hulls shimmered under the starlight. "Guardian, who the hell are they?" "Human fleet identified," the Guardian replied. Jack's eyes widened. "Wait, what?" The incoming ships opened fire, their blue-white beams cutting through the auxiliary formation. The auxiliary scattered under the barrage, their shields struggling to hold. A familiar voice crackled over the comms. "Jack, you still alive out there?" Jack's mouth fell open. "Commander Hayes." "Yeah, we picked up your signal. Looks like you've been busy." Jack's grin widened. "You could say that. Hold position. We'll clean up the rest," Hayes said. Jack leaned back as the Guardian hovered, watching the human fleet engage the auxiliary. His hands finally relaxed on the controls as the last enemy ships retreated into the void. "Threat neutralized," the Guardian confirmed. Jack's chest heaved. That was intense. "You performed adequately," the Guardian replied. Jack's grin widened. "I'm starting to think you like me." "Unconfirmed," the Guardian replied. Jack chuckled. "Yeah, sure." Outside the cockpit, the human fleet was gathering around them. Lights from the surrounding ships flickered across the Guardian's dark frame. Jack's smile faded as he studied the wreckage drifting through space. The auxiliary wouldn't stop, not after this. They would regroup. They would come back. "What happens now?" Jack asked. "Strategic recommendations available," the Guardian replied. "Shall we proceed?" Jack's smile returned. "Hell yeah. Let's give them a reason to be scared." Jack sat in the Guardian's cockpit, watching the stars drift by. The human fleet had formed a protective formation around the Guardian as they moved through deep space. The aftermath of the battle was still fresh. Debris from the destroyed Silari flagship floated silently in the distance, illuminated by the soft glow of distant stars. "Status?" Jack asked. "All systems functional," the Guardian replied. "Structural repairs at 78%. Power levels stabilized at 94%. Jack sighed and leaned back. His body was aching, his muscles sore from the strain of the last fight. But it was over, at least for now. The auxiliary had been driven back, and the human fleet had arrived just in time to clean up the rest. A soft beep sounded from the control panel. Jack glanced down and saw an incoming communication from Commander Hayes. He tapped the console. Hayes' face appeared on the screen. Short-cropped dark hair, weathered face, and sharp eyes. "Jack," Hayes said. "Nice work out there. Hell of a performance." Jack chuckled weakly. "You know me. I like to keep things interesting." "Interesting," Hayes scoffed. "You took down auxiliary flagship with a single Guardian. A damaged one at that. If this is your idea of interesting, I'd hate to see what you consider difficult." Jack smirked. "To be fair, I had a little help." "Guardian," Hayes said, his gaze shifting. "Good work." "Performance within acceptable parameters," the Guardian replied. Hayes shook his head. "Yeah, you two make a hell of a team." His expression darkened. "But don't get comfortable. The auxiliary aren't going to let this slide. They'll be back, and they'll be angry." Jack's smile faded. "I figured as much." "We're gathering intel on auxiliary fleet movements," Hayes continued. "High Command wants you and the Guardian back at base for debriefing. They're very interested in what you two pulled off." "Yeah, I bet they are," Jack muttered. Hayes' face softened. "Jack, you don't have to keep doing this. You've done more than enough." Jack's eyes darkened. "Not yet." Hayes sighed. "I figured you'd say that. Just don't get yourself killed." "No promises," Jack said with a smirk. The transmission ended, leaving Jack alone in the quiet hum of the cockpit. His gaze drifted to the stars beyond the viewport. Somewhere out there, the auxiliary were regrouping, planning, preparing. "We're not done yet," Jack said. "Agreed," the Guardian replied. Jack smiled faintly. "You're not going to try and talk me out of this?" "Negative. Strategic assessment indicates that continued action is necessary for long-term survival." Jack chuckled. "Yeah, that's what I thought." He rubbed his hands over his face and sighed. "So, what now?" "Strategic options available," the Guardian replied. "Potential targets for preemptive strikes have been identified." Jack's eyes narrowed. "Good. Let's hit them before they get the chance to regroup." "Confirmed. Preparing jump coordinates." Jack felt the soft hum of the Guardian's systems as it powered up. The stars outside began to blur as the engines charged for a jump. Jack frowned. The Guardian's tone was different. Softer. Almost hesitant. "Yeah. You are injured. Your physical stress levels are high. Rest is recommended." Jack laughed softly. "Didn't know you cared." "Unconfirmed," the Guardian replied. "But you should still rest." Jack leaned back, his hand brushing over the console. He could feel the faint warmth of the connection beneath his fingertips, the pulse of the machine's energy. It wasn't just a weapon anymore. It was more than that. "You're not just a machine, are you?" Jack said quietly. "Assessment incomplete." Jack smiled faintly. "Yeah. I guess we'll figure that out together." The engines flared as the Guardian leaped into hyperspace. Jack closed his eyes as the stars streaked past the cockpit. His mind drifted back to the battle. The auxiliary ships closing in, the blinding light of the explosions, the feeling of the Guardian's energy merging with his own. He thought about the auxiliary, about the cold, mechanical precision of their ships, the way they had tried to assimilate the Guardian. They wanted control, domination, and they would stop at nothing to get it. But humans were different. Humans weren't built to follow the rules. They adapted, they fought, and they survived, even when the odds were impossible. Jack's eyes opened as the Guardian's engines pulsed beneath him. They were still moving through hyperspace, the glow of distant stars blurring outside the cockpit. His fingers tightened on the controls. "Guardian?" "Yes, Jack." "We're going to end this," Jack said. His voice was calm, steady. "Strategic recommendations available," the Guardian replied. "Forget strategy," Jack said. "Just trust me." A brief pause. Then, "Acknowledged." Jack smiled. "That's what I thought." The hyperspace window flickered as the Guardian dropped into real space. A massive planet loomed ahead, its surface covered in dark metallic structures. Auxiliary defense platforms hovered in orbit, their cannons already turning toward the Guardian. Jack's eyes narrowed. "Looks like they're expecting us." "Enemy defenses activated," the Guardian confirmed. Jack's hand settled on the controls. "Let's give them a reason to regret that." The Guardian's thrusters flared as it shot toward the planet. Plasma fire erupted from its auxiliary defenses, beams of red light cutting through the darkness. The Guardian spun, weaving through the barrage with impossible precision. "Target locked," the Guardian reported. Jack's eyes gleamed. Fire. A wave of white-hot energy erupted from the Guardian's cannons. The nearest defense platform exploded in a burst of flame and shattered metal. Jack pulled the Guardian into a tight roll, targeting the next platform. "Guardian?" "Yes, Jack. We're going to win this." "Confirmed." Jack's smile widened. "Then let's finish this." The Guardian surged forward as the auxiliary defenses scrambled to respond. Jack's heart pounded as the next wave of plasma fire erupted ahead. He could feel the Guardian's power beneath his hands, feel the connection between them deepening with every second. The auxiliary thought they could control the Guardian, thought they could use it as a weapon. They were wrong. Jack and the Guardian were more than a machine and a pilot now. They were a team. And together, they were unstoppable.